I like this kind of introduction today. This is where, when you recognize the character that we're talking about, I want to hear from you. We'll see who recognizes this character first. This character comes from Greek mythology. So put your thinking cap on and think back to Greek mythology when you may have read about it or learned about it. This character was a sculptor from the island of Cyprus. He looked on society, he wasn't especially happy. He detested, as was said of him, the faults that nature had given to women. No projection there, none at all. And so, sculptor that he was, he carved a statue out of ivory. Statue of a woman, the perfect woman, and he was so satisfied with his work that he fell in love with the statue. Come on, somebody's got to know this. Keep going. He would caress the statue, kiss the statue, bring gifts to the statue. And when the festival of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, came around, he was there praying for the love of a woman like his statue, a real woman like his statue. And so as he prayed, he went back home, kissed his statue, and noticed that the lips on that statue were warm. Something was different. It's almost as though that statue was coming to life. And so he went back to pray again. And Aphrodite, the goddess of love, granted him his wish, and that statue became human. Now, you're gonna recognize it from here. Maybe you won't. We'll come back to the name of this sculptor. But this story has prompted many other stories. Among them, one I'm sure you know, Pinocchio. The creator, Pinocchio Geppetto, made the puppet and grew into a relationship with the puppet, so that puppet was almost alive. Pinocchio comes from this Cypriot sculptor. And then there's Shakespeare, A Winter's Tale, a statue of Queen Hermione, I think. Hermione. I'm not sure who it is. Which is it, Pam? Hermione, whatever. That statue came to life in A Winter's Tale. But the one you remember most, and now we're getting to it, is Professor Henry Higgins and Eliza from My Fair Lady. So there's a beautiful song sung by Julie Andrews in the original stage version, and I think that's the best song. There's other versions for the movie. But wouldn't it be lovely? She says, wouldn't it be lovely? Of course, that was her Cockney way of saying, wouldn't it be lovely? So lovely connotes a number of things. It connotes being beautiful. Ooh, wasn't that lovely? It connotes being pleasant. You really enjoy something. It connotes something desirable, something lovely to see, lovely to have. And it also connotes kindness, friendliness, amiability. So we're going to talk about lovely a little bit today. Doesn't seem like a word that would come up often in sacred texts, but in fact it does in the Christian scriptures. Interesting verse, Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. So, isn't it lovely? You notice that I didn't use the wouldn't it be lovely, because I want to bring us here to this present moment. Isn't it lovely? And I put together a key spiritual truth, as I often do. And here it is. We're talking about relationships today, and I give this for the truth. Our relationships become truly lovely as we recognize our oneness. Talk about oneness a lot. Let me give you that again. Our relationships become truly lovely as we recognize our oneness. There are a number of ways to look at this. I've chosen a couple of them, and we'll explore those just a little bit. When we're thinking about loveliness, one of the things we think about, I think about, hopefully you think about it some too, is falling in love with what is. Byron Katie has the book based on the work that she does, Loving What Is. Loving what is. That kind of means love without condition. Love with respect, even when we differ from somebody else or when we're in a difficult situation. Love without judgment, withdrawing from judgment. And love that lets go of fear. For those of you who are in the study of A Course in Miracles, and by the way, this next class, which will be the first Tuesday in the month of March, we'll kind of begin a new section, a new way of looking at this, the Course, and we'll begin working with the text of the Course. We've worked a lot with the lessons. We're going to work with the text. So now would be a good time to join in. It's a great starting point. But let me just read there's a little book based on the Course, Love is Letting Go of Fear, by Gerald Jampolsky, a student of the Course, also a psychologist. He has an interesting little example in a chapter that talks about the holy instant, this instant being the only time there is. We talked about that being in the present. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it love? So there was a letter written to him from a friend and a nurse who was also a student of the Course. I'm going to read some from that letter because it's a great example of loving what is. In a dream, I was sitting face to face with a human being, ugly, fearful, deformed, and miserable. For a brief instant, I wanted to run away. But as I relaxed, coming into myself, I saw the very real connection between us, and I loved that connection. As I saw the illusional aspect of the ego interpretation fade away, a bright light emitted the radiance, divinity, and innocence nobody had seen before. I embraced this person with a genuine love I'd never experienced. This person received my love, and there was a rejoicing and a communion with a spiritual merging of souls. This person was myself, and I was this person. We celebrated our oneness. I knew the real feeling of love. Loving what is, falling in love with what is, however miserable and ugly and difficult it might be, may be a pathway to oneness and the understanding and the experience of it. Loving also is enough to be honest and forthright. There are lots of things that we sometimes just don't get into, because it's difficult. It's tough with those we're in relationship with, those that are close to us. We just rather not disturb the waters, and so we miss so much of our opportunity to really experience love. This is what we call speaking our truth. Donna and I were having a conversation. There are things we don't talk much about because they're a little difficult to talk about. And we came to the conclusion that we're missing a lot by not braving that, by not taking the little bit of risk to talk about the things that we're feeling, the things that we're needing, to allow that partner to talk about the things they're feeling or needing, so that we can transform the situation into something higher and better and truly loving. Falling in love with what is also, as we already indicated, is a remembering that we are one. We are one spirit. We are one intelligence, one mind, one power, one presence. In unity, you probably heard it. We talk about one power and one presence. God the good, omnipotent, and we are part of that oneness. Even science tells us, the quantum mechanics field, that there's such a thing as quantum entanglement, it calls us, which points out that the separation that we so often assume is an illusion. Oneness, falling in love with what is. But let's go on to another aspect. Loving what we see with eyes of faith. We often talk about our heart's desire and how we visualize that, how we affirm that so that we can draw it to us, and that's a function of love. But I think we do it meagerly sometimes. Going back to that reading that Sue had, I really like the one line in there that says, we are already equipped with what it takes to live the highest vision of our life. So let's not get held back by thinking we don't have what we need. We don't have the resources. We don't have the strength. We don't have the gifts. We don't have the talents. We don't have the experience. We have all that we need. So what we see in front of us, what's apparent, how it appears, that's not the point. Take seriously truths like nothing is impossible with God. Do we take the words, the reported words of Jesus, the master teacher, and said, greater things than I do, you'll do? Or do we just kind of let them slip on by us? I'm for the greater things. I'm banning something from my vocabulary, my conversation. I've been guilty of it, but I'm banning it. Guilty is not the word, but I've done it. We're a small church. I'm leaving that out of my conversation for now. Because what we see, we love what we see with eyes of faith, not what we see with physical eyes here. We love that greater vision. For those of you who are online, you can't quite see this, but on the whiteboard over here is a piece of paper that's taped up. Yesterday, we had a prayer chaplain meeting, and Betty and Donna were in this room arranging chairs. and they were arranging them to that seating chart that's on the wall over there. That seating chart has 40 people. Nothing is impossible. Can we look with eyes of faith? Can we affirm our growth? And next month I've chosen that for our theme, the theme of growth. Debbie, who's not here today, is not feeling so well, is excited about vision boards. And that board over there is becoming our community, our spiritual community vision board. So we're going to want you to be participating in ideas and what you see for us in the future. Yes, isn't it lovely? Loving what we see with the eyes of faith. More to come on this growth for Unity of Payson. For those of you online, we're seeing that there are others who join you and that there will be 25 of you online. So 25 and 40, 65, that's a start. We see that with eyes. I have that vision. I'm going to share that vision a lot in the next month, and I hope you'll join with me. A third way of looking at this is the process of developing holy relationships. For those that are close to us, perhaps a spouse or a family member, a very close friend, or somebody in this community, do we have a special relationship, as the Course in Miracles calls it, or a holy relationship? And I think holy relationship is what allows us to get through to that experience of love and loverly. All of our relations have this potential. It's the ones that close that we're probably going to start working on first. A holy relationship sees for each person in that relationship no lack, none whatsoever. We talked about self-love a little earlier in this month. No lack there is in a holy relationship. So as all that they're complete, they have all that they need. There are no differences in a holy relationship. So, apparently, in front of us, what appears in this physical realm is difference. In the realm of spirit, there's no difference. Whatever the details are of our experience, we're not different. There is not a difference. Sometimes we like to think that, oh man, if I can just be with like-minded people. Well, maybe that's not the point either. Let's be with who's there. Let's be with that person in front of us. Let's affirm that those differences are just illusory here for this physical world, this short lifetime that we have here physically. And let's look higher. Holy relationship sees that other person, those other people, as whole. And then intentionally, a holy relationship joins with that other person. Let me read from the Course. By the way, there's a lot of questions that are still going to be here. So join the Course in Miracles class. Putting the challenge out there. It's online, so it's open to everybody. From the Course. A holy relationship starts from a different premise. Each one has looked within into themselves and seen no lack. Accepting his completion, he would extend it by joining another, whole as himself. He sees no differences between these selves, for differences are only of the body. So I'm going to say it a little bit differently. It is loverly. This divine love that we're talking about. Pleasant, beautiful, friendly, kind, desirable. That key spiritual truth again. Our relationships become truly lovely as we recognize our oneness. Now, this is probably one of the messages that's been most difficult to come up with what comes next, and that's, how do I do that? So if you've got suggestions, share them with the rest of us, but I'm going to give you what I've got at this point. We do that by having a vision of our wholeness. And I'm going to suggest that if you're online, you're right there at home where you can do it right away. But for those of us that are here, maybe we'll do it when we get home. One simple affirmation. Put it where you can see it. Say it aloud regularly. I love myself the way I am. Affirming that wholeness that we are. And that wholeness that works together with the wholeness of another for the here and now experience of oneness. Got that? I love myself the way I am. That's simple. Try it out. Might make a difference for you. A vision of joining. We talked about those holy relationships, and we talked about those difficult conversations, those areas that we avoid between us and another. So you know what the key one is for you right now. Start that conversation. Might be difficult, might not get too far, but start that conversation. That's how you do that. And then have a vision of our oneness. We're going to work with this in our meditation time, but Betty has got something. You know, we had on the very first Sunday of the month, a little heart, which was rose quartz. Well, we're going big now. Tom got some from the Tucson Gem Show, and they're really beautiful. So these are for today. We're going to put the container back there, and you're going to give them back. We want to use them again. But I want you to put them in your hand right now. This rose quartz, this energy of love, this energy of harmony, this energy of relationships. So I've got one here, don't I? I think I do. I got a big one now. Rose quartz. Put that in your hand. I was going to say warm it up. Let it warm you up. If you're with us online, I wish I could just hand you this rose quartz so you could hold it in your hand. If you've got one, go get it and hold it. If you don't, you're going to have to use imagination to do that in some way.
Just hold it up, Neal. Just hold it up.
Hold it up.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, you can see it better with the blue background. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful crystal. Tom will tell us all about it sometime. But he found these wonderful, wonderful stones. This is what we are talking about when we talk about love in relationships. A genuine giving and receiving of love. Anahata, the love chakra, the heart chakra, right here. Remember, it's beautiful. It's pleasant. it's desirable, and it's kind. So I want to go back to the start. Did that name come to anybody at all? The name of that Cypriot sculptor? How about Pygmalion? But back to My Fair Lady. Eliza sings, and it's this simple sometimes. It's this simple. This that we desire may be this simple. All I want is a room somewhere, far away from the cold night air, with one enormous chair. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Lots of chocolate for me to eat, lots of coal making lots of heat. Warm face, warm hands, warm feet. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Someone's head resting on my knee, warm and tender as he or she can be, who takes good care of me. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Once more, the key spiritual truth. Our relationships become truly lovely as we recognize our oneness, and so it is.